Ready? Here we go. Yeah.
That's good. That's a first. That is fun, dude.
Get some Mongolian throat singing going
Oh,
on
I
too.
wish, man. Dude, have you seen this guy? Have you seen this guy on YouTube?
I already know who.
You
Yeah.
already know, right? Is it
Yeah.
Hunsaker, I think is his last name?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Ronan
Yeah, Rowan maybe? Ronan or
or
Rowan?
Rowan. Yeah.
I've actually been emailing with him for probably over a year, just begging him
okay.
to come on the show.
I was just going to say you should definitely get him on.
He's so friendly. He's a really nice guy. He's just also busy, So
He is. Yeah. Yeah. I first got connected up with him on online through. I think it was when we were doing Cairdeas online or Piper's Gathering or one of those. But yeah, he does some really really amazing throat singing and
his piping is
small
great
pipes.
and his throat singing is amazing. But then he puts them both together, and it's like the what comes out of it is even greater than the sum of the parts. It's just so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
So cool. And does he have the same set of pipes as you too? Does he also have a set of, don't you both have a set of complex
He
pipes, or maybe they're from different makers?
Yeah, he does have Banton pipes. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he said he got a second-hand set of Nate Banton small pipes.
Y'all living the dream, man.
Yeah. Come on, join us.
Someday, dude. Someday that really low end, that one, what did Timothy Cummings called it, the testosterone?
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Right.
When
It's so fun.
tell me about when did you get those? Because I know that I saw, was it a picture of you at a it was at a Ren fair maybe?
Oh yeah.
Was that when you were playing with the German band?
With Volgamut, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is that's the same band that Dave over at the Freestylers of Piping had played with them as well. But you guys
Yes.
didn't quite overlap, right? You didn't meet each other or anything.
No, we were different time periods, yeah. Yeah, so I did play those with Volgamut for our quiet sets.
Yeah.
And actually the first time that I met and played with Volgamut was at Pensick, which is a huge event in Western PA near Pittsburgh. It's part of the what's it called? Society for Creative Anachronism. The SCA. Have you heard of that?
I haven't heard of it, but the name's delightful.
It's they do. Oh my goodness. I don't want to get my terminologies wrong if anybody listens and they're somebody who's involved in it, but they do, it's kind of related to LARPing.
Yeah. I'm Googling them right now, so I'll back you up.
Okay.
I'll help keep you safe. Yeah, Society
All
for
right.
Creative Acronism. Got it.
Yeah. It's this huge, thousands of people, and they all go there for, was it 2 weeks long, I think? And so I was there for 1 week in the summer of 2019.
My goodness, this looks amazing. Nothing
It
against
is.
the LARPing group that meets in my local park. Like they
Yeah.
are really cool. My kids and I go watch them do battles and stuff. It's a lot of fun. But holy moly, I even live near this thing, Evermore Park, and the pictures I'm seeing of what the SCA does,
Yeah.
these costumes, the armor, this is
Oh.
the buildings even. My goodness.
It is a different world, and it's, people that are really into this, they spend their whole year getting ready for this summer event. I think it's,
Oh my goodness.
I don't know if they had it last summer. It's definitely back this year. I think it's their 50th Pensick this summer.
Yeah, my good. This is huge. I'm amazed that I
It
haven't
is.
heard of this. There are kingdoms all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
There are people getting married at these events.
Yeah, yeah.
Wowzer.
It's a huge thing. So when Michael auditioned me for Volgamut, I met him at the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair, which is just a 45-minute drive from my house. And I played for him, and he invited me to be a part of it. And then my first time actually playing with the group was going out to Pensick, and I brought my small pipes with me. And when I got there, he handed me a box that had been unopened, and told me to open it. That was my doodle sack that I would be playing.
Oh, yeah.
in Volga.
What was the fingering scheme for your doodle sack? Were you prepared for that?
I was not very well prepared for it.
Yeah.
It was very different.
It wasn't like Highland pipes made to look medievalish. It was like
No.
a legit German instrument.
It was, yeah, and it was kind of Michael had these specially made for him, and they were based. The look of them was based on the oh no, what's his name, the artist who made the German medieval drawings of Piper. I can't remember.
I'm Googling. Don't worry, I'll back you up.
Yeah.
You go ahead and keep telling the story. I'll figure out who this is.
And so anyway, the pipes were made in the style of that. They're in other words, they're not an exact reproduction of a set of German medieval pipes.
Yeah.
But the fingering system on them is the same open finger system that is used on recorders and on the Rausschweife, the loud shawm type instrument that Michael plays with the group, and so being used to the regimented closed system fingering for Highland pipes, that it did actually kind of work if I fell back into that, but the open system is what was used, so going up to a E, F, G, and A, those were all open, no fingers closing the bottom end of the chanter.
Yeah, I gotcha.
So that took some getting used to. And also dropping most Highland pipey embellishments, doublings.
That's never easy, is it?
No.
I still don't think I've like how can you really truly ever break free of if it's part of your core, how you learned and how you came into it, it's
right.
It's funny. Funny. I'm not trying to say like there's any wrong way to play any instrument, of course, but it's fun to when you hear someone playing any other, like a whistle or small pipes of any kind, etc. When you can identify, there's a Highland piper. I mean, and it's me too. I'm in no way saying like that's a bad thing necessarily, right? It's just it's almost like having a regional accent that no matter what language you speak, it's still going to come through. Like if you were a Southerner speaking Spanish or Italian, you'd like speak Spanish in a Southern United States accent. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so it's like, I'm speaking whistle, but with a Highland pipe accent kind of thing.
Yeah. Right. Definitely adds a unique style to the playing, I guess.
So did he just hand them to you and be like, here you go, let's do a set? Or did he give you like, here you go, take a week with them and get them figured out kind of thing?
Well, it was basically a trial by fire.
Yeah.
So I got them, and he had me run through the tunes. I had the music ahead of time, so I'd been learning the tunes already. But then he had me play through the tunes with him, and then also with the other piper at the time, and so we would go off to an area away from people and play through the tunes on our pipes together, and then throughout the day, and especially in the evening, we would just play play a few sets here and then a few sets there, and I would do my best to keep up with the crazy, just having it all thrown at me at once. It was very exciting. It was a lot of fun.
You say exciting now. Was it maybe kind of terrifying too at the time?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, it was terrifying.
I can only imagine.
I I didn't want to mess up, and
Yeah, of
I
course.
certainly did mess up. But and then wearing this very unique outfit, the whole Vogelman outfit, didn't quite fit me too well. It was a little tight in some areas, but it was.
It's funny when clothing
doable.
can make you feel naked in front of people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's absolutely right. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. So it was fun.
I've kind of just been. I've got to keep in mind that you and I have been chatting back and forth, like on Facebook Messenger and stuff like that for a while, and I'm kind of picking up where we left off there. I should back up a little bit and give you a chance to give us kind of a sketch. Tell me about yourself from babyhood. I know that you're the youngest of 5.
Right.
So pick us up from there. Tell me about what your childhood was like. Were your siblings also into music? Were they not? At what point did the trombone come into your life? At what point did the bagpipes come into your life? What other things? Tell me about all of this.
Wow.
Oh, actually, also Roderick. I've been calling you Rod, but that's a unique first name, Roderick. Where did that come from, too? Tell me all of this.
Okay. Well, that's good. I'm impressed. Sounds like you've been doing your research.
Oh, yeah. You
Very good. Yeah, it's a family name. Roderick it's a Nevin family name. My great uncle was Roderick, and it is looking it up. It is an Irish name, or based on an Irish name. The Irish Gaelic is Ruairi. I'm sure I'm not saying that exactly correctly, but it's a variant of Rory. And so all of our in my family, in my dad's side of the family, the tradition was to have the names, especially the male names, were based on other family names. So our previous generations of Nevins. So my dad was a Benjamin. He was the son of Benjamin, who was the son of David, and so there's a lot of Benjamins and Davids and Johns. And I kind of carried that tradition on a little bit with our firstborn, my son Ethan. His name is Ethan Benjamin. My dad's name was Benjamin Ethan. So
yeah.
Just kind of flipping around a little bit.
I knew a lady for a while whose family had been doing that flip thing for generations. Like she was the 7th in a line of just this back and forth flopping of the first and middle name.
Yeah, that's neat. And so, my first name being Roderick, I often people get my first and last name flipped around. Nevin Roderick. No, that's and
funny.
I didn't really experience that until I moved to southeastern Pennsylvania, Berks County, the Pennsylvania Dutch region. Because apparently Nevin is a common Pennsylvania German first name.
I see.
Oddly
so
enough.
You moved to like the only place in the world that your name would be that kind of confusing.
Right. So, I grew up youngest of 5 kids. My 3 older sisters, 2 of them had already moved out or gone to college by the time I was born. And so I kind of grew up with my youngest sister and my brother, who was 5 years older than me. So there was a little bit of a spread in ages between the siblings.
You were that the house is getting quiet and we want a baby kid, weren't you?
Yeah, yeah, something like that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah, by the time I got to be 12 years old, seventh grade, eighth grade ish, my brother had moved out, gone to the army, and so then I was the only child at home, kind of.
So
So I,
that's interesting because I feel like when I imagine the experience of any fifth child, it's one of like basically benevolent neglect because the house is so
yeah,
busy and all the older siblings are always pushing them around and stuff. But you got to have the experience of kind of being an only child for a while there too.
yeah, that's very true. And if you ask my siblings, they'll tell you that, I got it very easy.
Oh, I can relate. I'm the oldest of seven, so I'm on the opposite end of the same
I
thing.
see.
And so I
Yes.
see how my parents are with my youngest brother, and I'm like, this is a different
Yeah.
world, man.
Right. It's so unfair.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I grew up in northern Pennsylvania. So, northern Pennsylvania is a mountainous area. They call it the Endless Mountains up there.
My whole frame of reference for Pennsylvania is where Scranton is. So, working from
Right.
there, I'm just thinking to the north there are mountains. Okay, yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Yeah, so west of Scranton and a little bit further north. In fact, there's a Pennsylvania Grand Canyon in Wellsboro, not far from Mansfield.
No, really.
And yeah, it's just a beautiful, a gorge. It's not as big, obviously, as the Grand Canyon in Utah.
Yeah, we're like, hey,
but
that's our thing.
right. So, so it is very, very hilly and it's very rural. But Mansfield is also the home of Mansfield University, and so I had the benefit of growing up in a quiet area, but with a college community. And Mansfield was and still is known for its music program. So I had the benefit of lots of music being around me growing up. And
I've got to
my
imagine there were a lot of great like student like recital series and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That were of pretty good quality and also like free or very cheap.
Absolutely,
That sounds
exactly.
cool.
Yeah, so my parents would take us to the campus for these recitals and concerts all the time. So I got to hear, solos, singing, instrumentalists, and choirs, and band, and orchestra, and musical productions, a lot, and that was a very big part of my life growing up.
What was it in one of those settings that you first saw someone playing a trombone and thought to yourself, "I want to do that"?
Yeah,
Look, it's a legit instrument. I'm not trying to make fun or
Yeah.
anything, but there are kind of a lot of jokes about trombones. It's a little
Absolutely.
bit silly.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure. I can't think of a moment where I saw a trombone there and thought, well, that's what I want to play.
Sure.
But I was attracted to it in elementary school when we, in fifth grade, when we had the opportunity to choose a band instrument. And when I heard and saw the trombone, I thought, wow, I love that slides, that I love that sound.
yeah,
And, part of it being, it sounds funny.
yeah.
And that's what drew me to it. And I still play trombone in our church orchestra. So
That's really cool. It still baffles me, I play the string instruments I play all have frets. I cannot imagine playing something like the violin, And then
Yeah.
the brass instruments that I've tried all had buttons and valves. I can't imagine,
Yeah.
precision on a slide. It's beyond anything I've done myself, and that's very impressive.
oh well, yeah. I mean, it is. I'm sure most instruments are horrible to listen to as a beginner.
Sure,
beginner learning the instrument. Hearing these, wah, 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 hearing these blats
Flats,
on
that
the
is the word,
trombone.
isn't it? Yeah.
And it's not great, but I think it does. That type of instrument, like a fretless string instrument or like the trombone, where you have to not only know the general physical location of where your hand goes, but you have to have the ear to listen to it to know that, that's the correct pitch.
Yeah.
So I think that does help build some ear, music ear brain relationship.
Do you feel like that's ever been helpful to you in a specific case that I'm thinking of, which is tuning your drones? Because I feel like I've been doing music most of my life, and I feel like I have not perfect pitch, but like reasonably good like tonal memory. I'm usually listening to music, and therefore I usually could, like, if you asked for a pitch, I could probably get pretty close to it. But man, most of the time when I'm trying to tune drones, be it small pipes or highland pipes, it's like I go music blind. Like after a few minutes of trying, I just start going like, what? I don't know. Like what even, like, that's probably fine. Like what even is this? I just like get lost in it. I lose the ability to even distinguish like what is in and what is out and stuff. And I wonder if it's because I've relied on buttons and frets all my life.
Oh, interesting. Well, so that kind of, and I'm enjoying this conversation, by the way. It's fun to be part of. I've been listening to your episodes, before this, kind of preparing for this interview and realizing that it's really just talking about anything and following the rabbit trails. And
any preparation is futile.
Just follow the rabbit trails wherever they go.
Yeah.
So that, what you were just talking about with tuning the drones, that is something about the bagpiping world that I had to get used to after growing up with and studying music and being a music teacher. I've been a music teacher for probably close to 20 years before I started bagpipes. So tell me all, I want to know all about that. Like what, cause I came into bagpipes very young. And so I want to know what it's like for an outsider, cause I don't feel like I have a really clear idea of what that is like. So, it was very eye-opening and ear-opening and kind of mind-blowing for me. So the first thing was when I went to start learning the bagpipes, I met Sally, the pipe major of Hamilton Celtic Pipe Band, where I'm the pipe major now. But at the time, I didn't know anything really about playing the bagpipes, except that I bought a I'm using air quotes here, my first bagpipes kit, which was just a Gibson practice chanter and the green College of Piping
classic,
tutor
the green book,
right? And I thought, okay, I'm going to get started, and I want to learn how to play the bagpipes. And so I already knew how to play recorder, and I thought, okay, left hand on top, right hand on the bottom, same number of holes, no problem. And then I discovered that, these fingers have to move in kind of different ways, and I'm not placing them on the holes the right way. And so when I first met Sally and she had me get out my chanter and try playing through a scale and that sort of thing, I was able to squeak out a scale. And then she quickly started telling me, no, your fingers need to be flat. Your fingers need to go this angle, and then they need to lift and drop this way. And I realized, this is
it's a whole
this is
different
definitely
thing.
something I need professional help here. I can't learn this on my own. And so then I started taking lessons from Sally, and it was, I quickly learned that I had to put any ego aside. Any, I could not have the mindset of, I'm a professional musician and I've studied, I have a master's degree in music. I should be able to do this no problem.
Right.
But I had to I had to put myself in the mind of a total newbie, beginner, and start like I knew nothing. And it was kind of a humbling experience, but once I was able to kind of get over that in my mind, it was really amazing to kind of be on that side of the music learning process where for years I'd been used to being the teacher,
Yeah, sure.
teaching people to sing or play an instrument or something, and now I'm the student.
Do you feel like that had an effect on how you taught from kind of from
Yes.
there? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, that was definitely something that I learned from was how it can feel when you know nothing. And so uh, uh, Sally is no longer with us.
Oh, darn.
So and so I hesitate to say anything anything critical of her, but there were some things she taught me that I felt strongly in my mind, quietly to myself. I thought, "Oh, I don't agree with that,"
Yeah.
but I just kept, I would just kind of nod and accept something that she said and keep going.
Yeah.
She taught me incredibly well the correct fingering technique, and how to correctly place the fingers and get rid of crossing noises. That was something that was drilled and drilled and drilled. Doing executing the doublings and burls and embellishments correctly. That was excellent instruction from her. But then there were some things that I disagreed with, and I felt, I just kind of filed that away in my mind. But doing that made me realize, oh, when I'm teaching somebody, I might think I know the one way to do it, but they might find another way to do it,
Yeah.
and that's okay.
Yeah.
And so I from that I kind of gained the appreciation for divergent learning styles, people learning things in different ways, and that it's
Yeah.
it's okay. You don't have to have the one way.
That I don't know to what degree this is a problem. I don't know, a feature of sort of like other other like sort of subgroups of musicians. If the really enthusiastic hurdy-gurdyers or the really enthusiastic tromboners or any other group, if it's the same way. But it does feel like sometimes I wonder if we have a particularly, and maybe because of the military history of Highland bagpipes, like we've been kind of insular for a very long time and kind of like very much like a master to apprentice handing on of information, kind of maybe even some gatekeeping with like, and it makes me wonder to what degree, like maybe for those of us who are bagpipers first, if we're giving instruction, we might be making a lot of assumptions about the rest of the musical world. And we might say things about musical form, about, I don't know, chord progressions, keys, etc. Like any number of things that maybe we're actually kind of ignorant about that. But because we're experts on one very small slice of music, which is the slice of bagpipes, we feel like we're experts on everything,
Right. Yeah.
It's
well,
like there's a poem I like that says something. It says it's something like drink not from that. There's a cool word there. Parian spring. It's like a little bit of knowledge is a dangerous thing is the idea, and it's like, so either drink deeply or don't drink at all, because if you just drink a little, you'll think you're an expert and you'll go out there and make all kinds of mistakes, right?
Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah, and I'm sure that's not unique to the piping community, like you said, but it certainly it can be a thing that happens where, and so that was kind of another mind opening thing for me was after studying for about 2 years with my teacher and learning things a certain way, even things like which wax temp to use for wrapping your pipes joints. That's something that can start flame wars online
For
on
sure,
bagpipe
yeah.
forums, right?
Absolutely.
I remember I bought my brand new Wallace bagpipes, and I got them. They were delivered, took them out of the box, and brought them to my lesson. And Sally told me, "Well, you need to take off all that yellow hemp.
Get that
and,
yellow string off of there.
yeah, get that yellow hemp off of there, and rewrap it with black wax temp."
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, okay." So for the next week, I was taking off all this yellow thread and then rewrapping it. And my fingers were, I was getting these lines, and my fingers were getting red, and
Yep.
it was painful. But I did it.
Yeah.
And a couple years after I started lessons, I signed up for the North American Academy of Piping and Drumming in North Carolina. That's the Sandy Jones School,
Right, yeah.
where and Sandy sadly passed away a couple of months ago, I think. So I was lucky I got to meet Sandy when I went down there. So it was a week-long music camp for bagpipes, and I loved it. I ate everything up. And then that was my first time learning things about bagpipes that I didn't learn from my bagpipe teacher. And so that was very eye-opening.
Big. I got to imagine that was a pretty big version of that experience. Because I think most of us probably have something like that experience, but it's probably more
Yeah.
often our second teacher or
Yeah.
the second book we read or joining a
Right.
band. And so it's like a smaller scale. I've got to imagine going to that school would be like that, but times 100. Just like so much information coming to you from different perspectives and different specialties and stuff.
Yeah. It was all of that, and I met some great people, some great instructors, and I remember one of the teachers. His name was Bill Logan, and he's also no longer with us. But it's not the same Bill Logan as the name of the Bill Logan piping tutor, another series of piping books. It's a different Bill Logan. But his nickname was the Finger Nazi.
The finger Nazi.
Because he was very adamant about correct finger positioning and how to execute the doublings and everything. So when I went to his class, I was actually okay. But there were people who were afraid of him because he was kind of old school, kind of like, "No, you're doing it wrong. Why did you do it that way?"
Yeah.
He had that kind of gruff exterior, but he was actually, if you got over that, he was actually a really nice, really sweet guy.
Yeah.
And
he just would hit your fingers with a ruler if you had a crossing.
yeah, he didn't physically do that, but there was kind of implied that
Yeah.
was you could kind of see this invisible ruler in his hand.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I loved it. I kind of ate up that kind of teaching style.
Yeah.
If you can get over the fear factor, it's like, oh, okay, yes, I definitely want to do this correctly now. And he actually told me that my fingers were good, so I was happy with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But my burl, according to him, my burl was wrong. I was doing it wrong.
Was this like double tap versus slide over kind of thing?
Yeah, so I would learn the tap drag method.
The tap drag. Yeah.
Yeah, and he did not like the tap drag, and so
But it wasn't that he didn't like the tap drag. It was the tap drag is wrong.
It's exactly right,
Yeah.
right. And so he showed me the slip and slide, the backward seven,
Yeah. Yep.
and he said it's a brrl, so you go brrl brrl. You know, he was saying that over and over again as he slipped his finger back and forth, and I just kind of said, "Oh, okay, okay." And I tried it, didn't stick. I still do the tap drag, but so things like that. Then I went home and told my teacher, "Yeah, I learned lots of new and different things like this." And she said, "Oh, really? It's kind of like
I'll tell you what I think of that.
these these old school, you know, my way is the only correct way,
Yeah.
and everybody else is wrong.
Yeah. That's how we then end up dividing ourselves into camps, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah. Silly.
right.
So what pushed you to pick up bagpipes? You know, after having were you bored of the instruments you had in front of you and just needed a new challenge, or had you been
Yeah,
thinking about it for a while?
Right, right. Yes, I woke up one morning and said, I don't have enough instruments in my life.
I've got to imagine you had a pretty fair few, especially as a music instructor.
Not too many. So it was kind of a culmination of things over a period of time. What really got me started in pipes was I had been interested in Celtic music and bagpipes. I just thought they sounded really cool for years, and it was kind of on my bucket list of, oh, someday I want to learn to play the bagpipes. Someday. And then I mentioned that to a friend of mine who was, she was a guidance counselor at the elementary school where I was teaching music. And she told me, oh, you know, I heard a bagpipe band playing in the 4th of July parade in the next town over. And I said, really? There's a bagpipe band around here? And I looked them up online, and sure enough, there's a pipe band that rehearses just 20 minutes from my house. And so
Dang.
I got
More
in touch with
convenient than most. That's great.
yeah. I was absolutely surprised. I had no idea there was a pipe band around me. And so I got in touch with the pipe major and got started. She enrolled me in the band right away.
I feel like that this is worth noting that for any of us who are trying to run a band and trying to grow the numbers and stuff like that, we should never assume that everybody in the community already knows that we're there.
Yeah.
You know? It's not, you can't be like, well, we did an advertising campaign last year,
Yeah.
so I guess we're done now, you know? Now
Right.
now we wait for people to come, right?
Right.
It's a constant thing.
Yeah, you'd think an instrument as obvious and loud as the bagpipes, you'd think that people would know
Totally.
that there are bagpipes around, but no, every time I meet somebody in the area who I hadn't met before, and I tell them, oh, I play the bagpipes. And, oh, really? There's bagpipers around here?
Right,
And
yeah.
yes, more than you think.
Yeah, totally. Totally, yeah. There was one time in my life that we had 3 bagpipers living within a 4-block radius of my house.
Yeah.
That's not the case anymore, but it still is, it's still a thing that even during that time, other people other than me didn't know that, I knew that because
Right.
my bagpipe radar is up, of course, but other
Right.
than that, people didn't know that. So got to keep spreading the word.
Yeah, absolutely. And, well, one thing our pipe band needs more of, and this is a common thing from what I've heard, is we need more drummers,
No
actually.
kidding, man. No kidding. Mars needs moms and pipe bands need drummers.
Yeah. So actually, we just have one snare drummer, one bass drummer, and one tenor drummer.
At a recent board meeting, I only kind of jokingly suggested to the band's board that we ought to consider some kind of stipend to offer to attract more drummers, because
Yeah.
we're at that point, we
Right.
really need more drummers.
Yeah.
We've
it's a struggle.
got the drums, it's here they are, please just come
Yeah.
play them, but we still need more drummers. We can't get enough people to come. That's not to say, of
Absolutely.
course, the drummers we have are wonderful. We just need more of them.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's
So,
a
so
struggle.
then, did you go straight to highland pipes? Was that the first step for you?
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
how
So,
did highland pipes eventually lead to small pipes, and I guess then from there to Volgamut?
yeah. So, yeah, Highland pipes,
Take me through that timeline. Take your time with it too. Just kind of how
sure.
did one lead to the next and stuff.
Right. So practice chanter, bagpipe lessons, about a year, maybe a little less than a year on practice chanter until, my instructor made sure I learned everything absolutely correctly, got all the doublings learned correctly, could play Scotland the Brave on the practice chanter, that sort of thing. Then I got my pipes. And then, so about 2 years after getting my Highland pipes, I was looking for what other things exist in the world of bagpiping, and I found the North American Academy of Piping and Drumming, and so I signed up for that and went, and while I was there, I also borrowed Sally's set of Walsh mouth-blown small pipes.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And because I saw that there was going to be some instruction offered at the piping camp for small pipes. So I brought both my Highland pipes and my small pipes. And first, I spent the weekend at Grandfather Mountain and camped out there, that's a whole other experience. It was amazing. Heard some amazing music at Grandfather Mountain. That's another rabbit trail we can come back to. And
Marked.
right, and so I had my small pipes with me. Went to the bagpipe camp and had some classes with a piper named Bob Mitchell. And Bob's a fantastic Highland piper who also plays small pipes. And so he was teaching not only some Highland pipe classes, but also small pipes. And so that was my first foray into the world of small pipe tunes and how that whole world can have another approach different from the Highland piping approach. Mm-hmm. And so that was eye-opening for me, realizing that, there's another world of piping that's different from this Highland piping thing.
Right.
And
you began
I
to
just,
discover the niches within the niche.
yeah. And so at that point, I fell in love with small pipes and playing small pipe tunes.
So pretty early on then, like for a lot of us, we go Highland pipes for a few years before we start looking around for something
Yeah.
else. You were like it's like you were already an addict, and so you were just moving
Yeah.
on quick. Like
Oh, I was, yeah.
you woke up in the morning with your thousands of instruments around. You were like, I need bagpipes, and like the minute you got a hold of bagpipes, you're like, I need different bagpipes.
Right. Yeah, about 2 or 3 sets of bagpipes later,
Yeah.
my wife is asking, where are these bagpipes coming from?
There was a great Pat McManus joke about how a sportsman can get more guns into the house, and it was something like once you pass 3 or 4, it ceases to be like a set number, and so once it becomes all those guns, then you can get as many in there as you want.
Yeah,
I've,
right.
I've joked with my wife. She and I like reading Pat McManus, and we've joked about how it's the equivalent for me is bagpipes. And she's like, "You're not to the point where I know all of your bagpipes still. You can't sneak them in yet, you know."
Yeah, right. Yeah. So then after I got hooked on small pipes, and again, this was this is a divergence from what I had been taught, because my instructor, God rest her soul, she had collected small pipes as well, and I bought several sets from her, but she used them to play highland pipe tunes on small pipes.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And to practice on and to play on as she got older, because they would be easier to play than full highland pipes.
Yeah.
Which is, that's fine.
One
That's
way to use them for sure. Yeah.
It's one way to use them. But when I realized that there's another tradition, and there's other tunes and piping methods that can be used with these smaller pipes, I wanted to eat that up. I wanted to dive in and get all of it. So I had, after that summer, I had asked Bob for recommendations on where should I look to get some bellows small pipes, because he was using a bellows blown set of small pipes, and I thought, wow, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And so he gave me some recommendations, and one of the recommendations he gave me was to check out Tim Cummings.
That's a solid recommendation right there.
Yeah, right. And so I got in touch with Tim Cummings, who then recommended to me the Nate Banton pipes.
Wow. So are you saying you went straight to Nate Banton pipes for your small pipes? Like,
I did.
You didn't like take some stepping stones, like from like practice pipes to shuttle pipes to to Henderson's, to, work your way up to the Bantons?
Well, I bought the Walsh mouth-blown small pipes. I bought those from Sally, and those were my small pipes for my first year or so of small pipes. That's what I was using first.
You took a step.
Yeah.
It's a thing that I've talked about with like students before, right? That like kind of think of any pipes you buy, maybe especially in the small pipes realm, as like, this is like your down payment on the pipes you'll have eventually.
Yeah.
Because you buy them and then you use them for a while and then you sell them and you get something a little bit better because you have, and they just kind of keep building in that way.
Yeah. Yeah. So after the Walsh small pipes, after Tim's recommendation, and I looked around, I went with a set built by Nate, and I play them every day. I absolutely love them. And it was quite an investment right away.
Yeah.
But, well, it took a couple of years for them to be made, of course. So, in the meantime, I'm playing these mouth-blown pipes.
Just dreaming of the day when you'll get your someday pipes.
And then I did have another intermediate step. I bought a secondhand set of... I think they were Gibson bellows blown small pipes.
Yeah.
And they were very clunky and uncomfortable, but it got me started on the bellows until I finally got my Banton pipes, which are fantastic.
The other day, my friend John Charles, he's the John Charles who pops up on small pipe forums and stuff. Sometimes he does some Irish singing and stuff like that too. He was the guest host for Way Too Twag's episode just a little bit ago. So he was just saying that he had a work friend who was like complaining about how he'd bought this nice guitar and had to wait 7 months.
Oh no!
Right?
7 months.
It's like, meanwhile, like, how about 7 years, man? Like,
yeah, right. Yeah, I'm glad I got them when I did, because the wait list, I'm sure has gotten longer.
That is what happens, right? Anytime a pipe maker like kind of hits their stride, suddenly the wait list just rockets to like longer than their lifespan, and it's just like you get in if you can.
Yeah. Well, I got my pipes in 2018. So that was, I think it was a year and a little bit more, a few months more, close to 2 years of a wait for those, but it was well worth the wait. Mine came with an A and a D chanter, and I also got a border chanter, which was made by Will Woodson, and it's got 5 drones, so it's got the contrabass. Yeah, what did you say? Tim calls it
the testosterone.
Testosterone. It's great. I actually, for most of the time, I have the contrabass out, and then I've put a cork in that hole so that it's a lot lighter, because that contrabass is really heavy.
Real rumbly, yeah.
And when I take that out, then I can actually stand up and play the set. But when you have that contrabass in, it's long and heavy. You have to sit down and have it across the lap, like uilleann drones.
Okay. So like in that video I saw of you doing that LBPS competition with your original tune, I did notice. Well, first of all, I noticed that you got the drone switch. That's got to be fun. But I also noticed that you had a shoulder strap, and I wonder, is that precisely because of how heavy the contrabass drone is, or do you think you'd gone shoulder strap anyway?
No. So the shoulder strap thing is a Tim Cummings inspiration.
I've seen him using it too. That's the first time I was seeing him play it that I thought, I wonder if that's nice. Like, I still haven't tried one, but I think about it a lot.
It's nice. It gives you a little bit of extra support, and it so it has nothing to do with the drones really. Although, side note, Elias Alexander, when he plays, he has a border set made by Banton, and he sometimes stands and plays his set, and he has the same style build that I have. He actually has a strap that connects from the common stock that's attached to the shoulder strap to support the drones.
I see.
So you can stand
that makes sense. Now I think
and play them.
Your strap is on the left shoulder, right?
Yeah. So, but it's there to just give more support to the belt that holds the bellows.
Yeah.
And so as a singer, who sometimes sings and pipes at the same time, that allows you to have the chest strap looser.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
It doesn't have to be as tight to support the bellows. Then you have the shoulder strap to hold things up better.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I like it. I like the idea of the utility of it, but I also just like the idea. I like the aesthetic, by which I mean I already think it's fun and funny that when you're getting ready to play your small pipes, you're just doing so much strapping in. Like strap in on this side, strap around on this side. Add one more strap, why not? It just makes the joke even better. So you get something that wraps around your forehead. And that get all connected in.
Right.
Be like you're suiting up in like a Gundam style robot suit or something to play music, right?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I used it used to take a while to put all this strap on and everything, and it would get twisted around, especially with that addition of the shoulder strap. It can turn into a Mobius strip kind of a thing. Where it's like, twisted. Which way does it go? Oh no, that's the wrong way. We twist it around again. Until I got smart and I got a button, not a button, a rivet kit, and I added these snaps and rivets,
nice.
kind of like the snaps on. A jacket or something else that has the snaps. And so now the shoulder strap stays stationary in the correct orientation, so all I have to do is just kind of pull it up over my shoulder, and there it is. And then just buckle the buckle, and I'm all set. so it's a lot quicker.
Yeah. Huh. I've seen some buzz on Facebook groups and forums, small pipe wise lately. A few other people also talking about straps.
Yeah,
I wonder if there's a groundswell in interest right now, in general, if it's just a coincidence.
right.
So then, like, what's the next set of pipes you're gonna get? Because I've got to imagine you're not done. So is it uilleann pipes? Is it a different kind of border pipes? What do you got your eye on?
That's very dangerous. Well, I'm not sure. I did. I did get my latest chanter. I got a C chanter made by Bob Felsberg.
Oh yeah,
or Rob. Sorry, Robert. The quiet piper.
Yeah.
In Pittsburgh.
My bag is one that he made. I wish that more components that I have here in my office were made by him, but they aren't. That's all I have.
Yeah. So he made me this lovely, it's applewood, I think, C chanter. It's very light, but it plays beautifully. It fits perfectly in the split stock for the Banton set that I have. So I can just plug and play, swap chanters very easily.
Are your Banton drones such that you can tune? I'm just thinking, like, what would you be droning at? I guess you could. Can you hit some G's with the?
Yeah.
Just from where you are there.
Yeah. Oh, it's it's fun. Nate has his drones are made so that the ends can be swapped around a little bit.
Yeah.
So
Gotcha.
when I'm playing on the C chanter, I can swap. I forget which one, but the baritone with the alto or the soprano, whatever. The names of the drones are kind of meaningless once you get 5 drones. It's kind of
I was just talking about that the other day with Jeremy and John Charles too. That, like, wait, is this bass, tenor, alto, soprano? Wait, is this bass, baritone, tenor, alto?
Right.
Like, what do we call these?
Right. So it's like I get confused sometimes when I'm in a small pipe session and somebody says, "Oh, well, use your baritone drone." Oh, which one?
Yeah, which baritone drone? Yeah.
But no, I can swap some of the tops.
Yeah, gotcha.
And by doing that, I can have, I get a C drone, I can get a G drone. I can take the top section, and it's a little fussy. I don't like to do it, but I can take the top section off of the contrabass, and then that turns into a C if I'm lucky.
If you're lucky, if the bagpiping gods are smiling on you that day,
if I adjust it just right. But I know that.
Go ahead, Rod.
Oh, I was just going to say another Elias Alexander thing. I know he had Nate put an extra hole in his contrabass so that he can just remove the plug from the extra hole and get the C or whatever note he has it to.
I've been dreaming. I'm hoping that that Dave out in Colorado, who does the 3D printed bagpipes, I've been hoping to be able to convince him at some point to do some tests, some trials for putting holes in the sides of highland pipe drones. Just to see what would happen. Man.
Wow! Okay.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah.
Basically, like I'm imagining, like, set up basically just 3 bass drones so that you have, like, maximum, like, length to play with, and just riddle the sides with holes and see what you can do.
Okay. Ooh. Yeah, you could get a full triad
playing,
right?
Yeah,
full chord.
Totally. That's the dream. We'll be there someday.
Oh man. I can only imagine that would be a headache to tune, wouldn't it?
Oh, as if I'm not having a hard enough time already, man.
Yeah, right.
Do I not even have to ask if part of your inspiration for getting a sea chanter was Bridget Campbell's music?
Oh yeah. No, that's definitely an influence. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love
As we're recording, of
that,
course,
yeah.
this will come out later. But as we're recording, her new album just came out yesterday, so that's especially on my mind right now. That carry them with us album.
Yeah, I've got to get it. Did you hear it yet?
It's so good. It's really great. Yeah.
I'm sure.
Like speaking of like having your mind opened to new possibilities, you know, like your experience with going to this school and like going from highland pipes to small pipes and stuff like that. Like this to me at least, and maybe this is just me, you know, evidence of my own ignorance, but I don't think I'm the only one who, listening to this album, I just start going like, I didn't even realize what all could be done, you know, with this instrument and with this this musical form or tradition,
Right.
you want to call it that, you know.
Well, also, shout out again to Tim Cummings. You know,
Oh, for sure, yeah.
the Birds Flight
Yeah, love that album, man.
uses C chanter as well.
Yeah,
I think
it does for sure. Yeah, and
Okay.
not all the tracks, but yeah, some of
No.
them use the sea chanter.
Right.
Yeah, and I am a devoted, perhaps overly zealous even disciple of Timothy Cummings and his music, because part of it is that magic. I mean, you're in that part of the country, so you probably feel it even more than I do. But that connection.
I am also in the Church of Cummings. Yes,
in the Church of Cummings. That's right. We're gonna make him really uncomfortable.
right.
I think his parents. I think he mentions in one of his books that his parents were both ordained Episcopalians. And
Yeah,
so, like,
right.
I think setting up a religion based on Timothy Cummings.
right.
The acolytes of Tim. Here we are. But
A Tim follower. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But there's that bringing the you might say traditions together, I guess. But I'm just thinking, like, for me, what in my brain was the instrument was so tied to the other side of the Atlantic. There's something that feels like almost emotional about having. I hesitate to say my music. I mean, I grew up in the American Southwest. You know, it's not Appalachia out here, you know, but I don't know. There's something there about like this instrument I already loved, and then this music that feels like my native language in a way, and bringing the two of them together. I really appreciate the stuff that he's done with that, because it's been wonderful for me.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. But getting back to that sea chanter idea.
Yeah.
Another reason I got it is because I want to do more pipe singing.
Oh, dude, yeah.
so-
I'm so
yeah.
with you there. Are you also like having a terrible time trying to sing as low as the A chanter or as high as the D chanter, and you need something
Well,
in the middle?
there you go. That's exactly it. I got the D chanter thinking, oh, I can sing with this,
Yeah.
and then it's okay.
Yeah.
But then, like you said, when you're doing the songs, it's either in the octave that's a little bit too low or too high.
Yeah.
Although, today my voice, I
Today,
can sing that
dude.
low A,
Yeah,
no problem.
Get this guy like a low G chanter, man.
Right.
I've seen there's some maker that makes a low D chanter even. Like you could just about sing right on, bang on with that.
Right. Yeah.
And be doing all right.
So, but the C octave range, most human voices are very comfortable in that C octave. So, the C chanter is perfect for it.
You're a vocal teacher, so you'd know you would know better than I would. I didn't realize that was a relatively common thing. I kind of thought like, man, I must just have a really restricted vocal range.
No.
You know?
No.
Makes me feel a little better.
Well, yeah.
I'm not the only
course.
one. All right.
No. Well, I mean C major, being the natural kind of prevalent scale. On the keyboard, I know you play keys a little bit too, right? That being the all natural scale, it's a very dominant scale in music, in Western music.
I'd never really thought much about why, but I guess that makes sense. If that's kind of like where we were comfortable singing, then it makes sense that that's where instruments would start to be oriented as well.
And it is, yeah. So that that range, middle C. Yeah. That range is for most people, that's a doable range of notes.
Yeah.
Most people can sing between those C's. And so and also when I was teaching early childhood music, or early elementary music, that's that's the key that most of the tunes are done in, or around there.
That,
Yeah, so
I'd never really paused to think about that either, but it's like, yeah, that would be the default setting for like Baba Black Sheep and the ABCs and all of the nursery rhyme songs, right?
absolutely, yeah. Yeah, so it's a very human kind of range of notes to sing.
Maybe I'm getting too hippy dippy and ethereal with this, Rod, but I'm curious. Like, I've heard people talk before about how like there are certain string instruments and some reed instruments as well that maybe resonate especially well with humans. Maybe partly because they sound so similar to a human voice in tonal quality.
Okay.
And I wonder, is there some sort of, if that's a thing, then is there also a thing about range maybe? Is there something that just like is so extra resonant because it's like in a familiar, close, like we just feel it just that little bit more or something like that?
Right. Yeah.
So like, is that why C small pipes are like so exhilarating to so many of us? That it's like, that feels so good. What a nice.
Yeah, I like that idea. I think so.
Because it's like on the one hand, I think like, well, we've got the thing with the highland pipes where to get it brighter and brighter, we push the pitch up and up and up. So like, is it just novelty? Is it just a pitch that we haven't heard before, and so it's exciting to us? But the other day, my wife was listening to, speaking of Bridget Campbell, her Weasel and Badger tune from the album that she did with Ross Ainsley, and she was like, and she hears a lot of bagpipes, and it's like. And no offense taken, right? But she was like, "This is beautiful." Like the things that I do aren't beautiful, right? She's like,
right.
This is so lovely. And but the adjective she was using, she was describing the tone. Like the is that the right word for it? The tone? I think that's right. Anyway, it was something about that where it was humming. That's what she was talking about. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, oh, she's a non-piper, and still to her it resonated especially. So maybe there is something about the key.
I think that's very true. Yeah, if it's something that you can reproduce in your body and hum that pitch range, whatever, it's that does allow you to connect with it on a different level. Yeah. So I mean that's being a bass myself, that was something that I was drawn to about the bagpipes, was those low drones. That that constant low hum. And so, yeah, I think the C chanter being in a singable range is something that allows people to be drawn to it.
This is kind of it's kind of blowing my mind a little bit here, Rod. Maybe I'm grasping at straws and making connections that need not be made here, right? But it is like occurring to me suddenly that like stereotypically, now I know women who play trombone really, really well, and I know men who are amazing flautists, right? But it feels like if we were to weigh like the typical the most which do you see most often playing these instruments, and it feels like, I'm just curious, like, does that mean that like you as a lower singer, is it more likely, just like in aggregate big data kind of question, that you would play the trombone, but a person who sings tenor would probably play trumpet, and a person who sings alto or soprano would probably play flute? Of course that's not like a nobody who sings high can play, right? Like there are so many exceptions that this probably isn't a rule, right? But it's just occurring to me suddenly, like, is there a thing there? Is there something about where a person sings that could affect what they're drawn to?
That sounds like a doctorate thesis there. That's it's a kind of thing that you wonder if, I'm sure somebody has researched this, right?
It's got to be out there somewhere. Yeah.
But I'm sure in a way that we're drawn to the instruments that we can feel like we've got that relationship with, because our voices can reproduce the same sound.
Yeah. I mean, like, maybe it's like, I'm just thinking like Victor Wooten's got a pretty low voice and he plays bass, and then like Kenny G's got kind of a higher voice and he plays trumpet, and saxophone, right? So it's like, I don't know, maybe not. I don't know. Maybe that's just silly. Oh.
No, that's a good idea. So yeah, the C chanter is a lot easier to sing with. But I I can sing with my A chanter and my small pipes. I do that with Fire in the Glen. I sing Ha Mi Ski. Sometimes it's too low for me though, and that's that's a low A. Ha Mi Ski. Today that's no problem.
Yeah.
But the problem is not just singing that, but singing it with your chanter and the drones, and then projecting, making your voice carry over and not allowing the chanter to be louder than your voice. Sometimes that can put a little bit of a strain on the voice because you're feeling like you need to sing louder to be with the chanter.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so the A chanter is pretty loud.
Yeah.
The C chanter, it's not only higher pitch, but it's also a little bit lighter in decibels. So it's easier to carry your voice with it.
Really good for singing, I know.
Yeah.
Well, I was already convinced, but only ever more so. I got to get me a C chanter.
Yeah. Well, okay. So here's the other thing with the C chanter. You ready?
Yeah.
If you love to sing and you love to play pipes, if you get a C chanter, then you can sing sea shanties on the C chanter.
Oh my goodness. Okay, yeah, that's too good, man. I love that. That's tickling just the right spot in my brain right there. On a sea chanter. That's awesome.
Yeah, so,
well, now I just need to go do it on the coast so I can say I'm doing it on the seashore, and I'll be set.
Oh, there you go.
So then, Rod, I want to know a little bit more about your teaching. What all have you done in that way, formally and otherwise? Because I was under the impression you were maybe a high school band instructor.
Ooh,
is that not right?
Well, no, they're another breed too. It's I did teach high school band for 1 year. So in a way, you're right. So I, for my teaching career, I've taught mostly elementary school music. So that's, kindergarten through 6th grade, general music classes, and elementary school choir, kind of 4th grade through 6th grade. And for many, many years, I had a recorder group. So not only just recorder, it's in 3rd grade, it's very common for 3rd grade music classes to learn recorders.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know if that's a pretty much countrywide thing or not.
But it's pretty typical out here. We've done, like, when I was a kid, it was actually like this, what was it called? It was like kind of like an ocarina. What was it called?
Well,
we've kind of gone back and forth though out here. Like
Yeah.
I've seen, at least in my personal experience, I've seen elementary schools doing ukulele as well. But I think recorder is pretty ubiquitous. I think it's pretty common out here too.
Yeah. So then I also had recorder. I called it recorder consort, and it was kids who enjoyed playing recorder that they could keep doing it in 4th, 5th, and 6th grade.
Oh yeah.
And so I had this group of soprano recorders with the small ones, the sopraninos,
Yeah.
and alto recorders, and I played a tenor recorder to get that lower part, and we would play some arrangements of some more challenging music. We would do that.
I don't want to make waves with the recorder listeners here or anything, but like I feel like that's one of the interesting things about recorder, and maybe it's because of my experience with it being mostly I've heard it from elementary schools. When it's a room full of just recorders, like your standard pitch, like I could take it or leave it. It doesn't really get me that excited. But when I hear like some legit recorder music with especially with the lower recorders mixed in, suddenly it's like one of the best sounds I've ever heard. It goes from like something that doesn't excite me to something that really excites me a lot. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's some amazing videos on YouTube, with the contrabass recorders.
Yeah.
That's fun. So that's what I did for most of my teaching career. And then my last year of teaching, I also taught middle school choir and high school band while I was still teaching elementary music and elementary choir. And that was the year that broke me
Oh, that's what did
of
it.
teaching public school music.
Those band kids can be mean, man.
It was fun. I enjoyed teaching the band. Actually,
Yeah.
that was fun too. But it wasn't the music. It was everything that wasn't music. That was I was basically just stressed out, and I couldn't keep doing it.
It sounds like the person who goes to med school because they want to help people, but then all the
Yeah.
paperwork just defeats them. Like
Yeah.
you go into music education because you want to teach kids how to play music,
Yeah.
but then you have like
Yeah.
all the bureaucracy and stuff to deal with, and it's just no good.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's it. It's painful. My friends who are still teaching, I really feel for them because they have to. They just tell me it kind of gets worse and worse every year. The amount of paperwork and things that you have to do to prove that you're actually a good teacher. It's that is so demoralizing to have to fill out these forms and write out these things to say what you're doing to actually be a good teacher. It's like jumping through hoops
Yeah.
to prove yourself. It's
It's got to be especially difficult when it's like not only it's like this is your livelihood, like this is a survival question. So like you've got your passion
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
you want to go and teach those kids, but then you've also got your livelihood, and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like, well, when it comes down to it, if you have to spend more time and energy on proving that you're a good teacher to the administrators than teaching the kids, that's what you have to do to survive, and that's
Yeah.
got to be rough.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was it was a very hard decision for me. It was one of those life moments,
Yeah.
one of those big kind of defining moments in a person's life where I decided I want to be a music teacher, but I cannot put my my nervous system through this experience for to last till my retirement. I'm going to be a burned out teacher, and I've seen burned out teachers, and I don't want to be that. So it was also a tough time personally for me because that was the year that I quit teaching. It was just a few months after my dad died.
Oh man.
And so, yeah, that was, there's that grieving process there.
Yeah.
So, that was a painful time too, of course. But that was, one of those moments in your life where you're looking inward a lot and kind of being very introspective and what is my life? What am I doing with
Yeah.
my life? And I talked about it with my wife a lot and just decided, okay, I'm going to get out of teaching in public schools and I'm going to be a music teacher from home. I'll teach private lessons and I'll continue to do the pipe band thing and I'll continue to do the singing thing. And I'm still busy. I just have a little bit more free time. I can walk my dog in the mornings now. So
It's not bad.
yeah.
So have you got like a central hub, like a website, like Rod Nevin's instruction website or something like that? Or is
Pretty
it?
close.
Yeah.
It's no, I have a website. It's rodericknevin.com. And
If you can hear my keyboard in the background, I am pulling it up right
tappity
now.
tap tap tap
Yep.
tap tap, right. So I do give lessons online. Most of my students are live in person. Most of my students are actually pipe students.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I have more pipers than singers, but I do vocal lessons and bagpipe lessons.
Yeah. Have you considered putting the two together? Because I know that there are I'm not saying that I'm proficient at pipe and song, But
Yeah.
Judy, I always get mixed up if it's Baker or Barker because I think it was actually Amazon that like published her album with the wrong spelling of her last name, and so now I'm always stressed about which one am I saying it right or wrong now. I'm all stuck in my head about it. But she did an album years ago. Actually, I think it was in association with the LBPS maybe, called The Chanter's Weave, and where she does this pipe and song. Oh man, she's so good. She's so good. She sings in pipes. She's amazing. And so after hearing that, that's when I was like, I really want to do this. Now I'm not proficient at it, but I would like to be proficient at it, you know?
Yeah.
And like speaking of Tim Cummings, he put out that How Can I Keep From Singing collection.
Yeah, love
it has some instruction at the beginning, and that was the beginning of how I finally could kind of like start to crack into like, okay, here's how I do this, you know? Again, not saying I'm good at it, just that was how I got started. I know I'm not the only one, and so I've wished for my own sake before that there were somebody who could tell me, you know, give me some shortcuts, you know, because, you know, kind of feeling around in the dark by myself, of course, isn't super efficient, you know. And so if there were like a well-developed program that was like, here's how you take your piping and your singing and put them together, I'd be interested. I'm just saying, Rod, I'm not telling you what to do, but
no, you're inspiring some brainstorms here. That's a good idea. I would definitely love to teach anyone who was interested some pipe singing things.
Yeah.
And maybe I should come up with some curriculum ideas or some process steps to how to approach that. Yeah.
I feel like I don't think, again, I'm not trying to say there's a wrong way to do it, right? But I think like a lot of us who are interested, what we end up doing is we'll sing over our drones.
Yeah.
And then play a chanter. And of course that's great. That's fun, you know. But like Judy, she harmonizes with her chanter where like sometimes the chanter's the lead and her voice is harmonizing. Sometimes her voice is the lead and the chanter's harmonizing. Like it's a very apt title for that album that it's a weaving of the two things. It's just so well done. It's like, I'm not saying that I think I could be at her level, but just for the joy of making music with your bagpipes in that way, you know, like with your bagpipes, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I know I'm not the only person in the world who dreams of doing it, if only for, you know, for personal enjoyment. And so I bet there's, you know, niche within a niche within a niche here, right? But I bet there are people out there who are interested.
Yeah, it's well, I mean, it's a challenging thing for lots of reasons.
Yeah.
Right. Because first of all, it's singing by itself and it's piping by itself. They each have their own challenges, and then you're combining them, and either, you know, well, so like step one, I think what you mentioned already is singing with the drones. That's probably basic step one. The next thing is singing the same melody as what the chanter is playing.
Yeah.
And if you can get used to that, that's the next thing. It can be mind-numbingly difficult to do that.
Yeah.
To match your voice to what your fingers are doing, or to match your fingers to what your voice is doing. That is a difficult thing to get used to. But it's also, here's where the learning to play by ear is a very important thing. Because if you can hear it, then you can reproduce it with your voice. And if you can hear it and learn a tune by ear on the pipes, then your brain is already configured for how your voice and your fingers can match that pitch. If you're somebody who's learned, like many of us, if you've learned music in the traditional Western music education way, learning to read the notes on the staff,
and then push the button that corresponds to that note.
Yeah. Right. If you've learned piano that way, if you've learned a band instrument that way, and then gone to pipes and learn your music mostly from notation, that's a bit of a stumbling block.
So there might be steps to be taken that we might have to kind of rewind a little bit in order to get to a point where we could do something like what Judy does.
Yeah. Because then after that step, I'm kind of walking myself through the process right now.
We're writing the curriculum right
Here
now,
we are.
live.
So then the next step would be harmonization, and you know, harmonizing the voice to the chanter, or harmonizing the chanter with the voice.
Yeah.
You know, two very different things. Your ear has to hear both and figure out where they're going.
Right. It's interesting to me. Like, you might be the perfect person for this in a couple ways, Rod, because it just occurs to me, like you were saying, like there's surely not just one way to do something.
Right.
But maybe
right.
this is something that like either hasn't been done enough for us to find a ton of different ways to do it, or maybe I'm just ignorant of, maybe there are tons of people doing this and I just only know of a few, right? But that's often the case, actually. I think that like something's new and really, it's been around for centuries, but I just didn't know about it, you know? But it occurs to me that like Judy mentioned that like, well, one thing that occurs to me is that she had a strong choral background. That's where she started her music, was in choirs and very young.
right.
And so she did a lot of listening, you know, to join in and sing on pitch with other people. But it also occurs to me, I thought it was interesting that she plays with her drones up on her shoulder, because she said she wants to have a drone right in her ear the whole time.
Oh,
She says that helps her, you know, and it's like, like for me, I feel like it gets me lost. I don't have that skill set where like I play my drones way down on my elbow. You know, and especially if I was trying to sing, I feel like pulling them up into my ear, suddenly all I can sing is that drone tone, you know, like I maybe follow too easily, you know?
Yeah, right. Huh.
So you've got your choral experience as well as your bagpipe experience, and maybe there's something there, you know, maybe there's something in that choir repertoire or background that
I think
applies.
so, because you know, hearing those harmonies and figuring out how your voice fits in those harmonies, that's very useful for as far as integrating your pipes with your singing and vice versa.
And see, I don't have a strong choral background at all.
Okay.
I joined choir my senior year in high school because I knew the teacher from a music theory class, and she didn't have enough boys in the choir, and she asked me to. And so I didn't have much experience with it. And now, like, my wife is a really strong singer, and I'll try singing with her, and she'll break away to do a harmony. And without meaning to, I just follow her, you know, like my voice just follows whatever it hears. So I don't have that skill set of like hearing a thing and holding my voice somewhere else. My voice is slippery.
Okay.
It goes wherever it's being led.
Okay. Huh.
This is now also like one part writing a curriculum and one part like personal counseling session for me.
Right. No, but I'm positive. I know for sure that you are definitely not alone there. That's a very common thing for people who are singing and trying out different things with their voice, where your voice wants to follow something, right? And so that's just something that has to the independence has to be built up for the voice to be able to, well, not really the voice, but really that's the ear. Being willing to go away from what you're hearing and go on a different line.
Well, I want to talk more about you and less about me. Sorry, I keep pulling. This is I've recognized over my whole life that I maybe have like an overly strong ego, and I tend to make everything about me. So let's try to push this away just a little bit here. It occurs to me I could ask you about Fire in the Glen. I did notice aside from having great music, I noticed that a person could purchase a Fire in the Glen thong for only $10. I don't know if
what?
Did you know about this?
Where are you
That's
getting
a real
this?
thing. It's a real thing. There's a merch shop out there. I think
What
it's
in the world?
I wondered if you even knew.
I'm going to have to talk to Tom about that.
I suspect it was probably a joke product, but it exists. It's out there. It's out there.
Okay.
And
Wow.
actually, as a member of the band, I feel like you should maybe already have one, like standard issue.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
But you can tell me about Fire in the Glen, but also like anything else, you know, like that you were thinking about. Like, we don't have to be too smooth about it. If there's a topic or something, like, let's just hit it. Let's just go right to it.
Oh, so are we starting the interview now? Is this where?
Yeah, now we're yep. Now let me hit record right now. Here we go.
Oh,
Now
okay.
we're warmed
you
up.
record. All right, that's good. Yeah, Fire in the Glen. So I joined Fire in the Glen. This was kind of my post leaving public school music career.
Oh yeah, kind of finding something to fill the gap there and stuff, huh?
Yeah. And so I was looking for a group to be part of because I wanted to perform more. So Fire in the Glen is a group I'd heard before in a previous local, very small Scottish Highland Games day. It was kind of in Lancaster County, not far from me, in the Amish country, and so I'd heard them a few years before. I just happened to see that they posted on Facebook that they were looking for another member. That they had an opening. Now, Fire in the Glen has had several iterations as far as the personnel goes.
Oh yeah, I noticed that looking them up on YouTube because I listened to the recent album and then I wanted to find some more. And looking on YouTube, I was like, wait a minute, that's not Rod. Wait a minute, you know.
Yeah. So Tom, the fiddler, is he co-founded, started the band with a friend of his back in, I don't know, 98 or something. I think it's on the website, fireintheglen.com. And so over the years, it's people have shifted, left, come back, left, new people. It's always been Tom on fiddle, and then usually somebody on guitar, and sometimes keyboard, one time cello. But when I joined, I was the first piper that has been in the group. So I was glad to be the one to introduce bagpipes to Fire in the Glen.
It sounds like it was about time.
I know, right?
It's like they were
Finally.
dancing around pipes and finally got to them.
Right. So I auditioned. I went to Tom's house and I played and I sang and I brought my ukulele and strummed that while I sang some songs. And so I got in and started learning the repertoire, a mixture of Irish and some Scottish and some American, some old, some new, traditional, some a lot of pub song type of songs, a couple of sea shanties, that sort of thing. So it's just a lot of fun. It's been a good performing outlet for me.
That album that just came out was was that this year?
Yeah, it just came out in February.
Yeah, that's right. So was
Or
that
it was released in March.
Did the pandemic kind of give you guys extra time to focus on just making an album since there was nothing else to do? Was that part of why that came out this year, or would that have happened anyway?
Somewhat. It was because it was 2021. Let me see. Yeah. So I was officially a new member in 2021. We met a few times, in November, December before that, but so it was kind of the coming out of the pandemic thing that we started performing and going to places, still wearing masks, that sort of thing.
Right.
But
thank goodness you had bellow pipes, huh?
Yes, right. So, but the album, it was something that right away we started saying we need to, record this group now that we have a new makeup of the band. We should get this sound recorded. So it just took a couple of years. Yeah, we didn't start recording until, I think it was still January of this year that we actually did the recording bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So a lot of prep work and then
Yeah.
and then getting in the recordings.
Yeah. And it was mostly, most of it is tunes that we'd already been performing. And then there were a couple of tracks on there that were newer tunes that we hadn't yet performed.
Have you when you're jotting down ideas for songs in your song notebook, is it usually pipe tunes, or are you also writing other kind of stuff that might have like lyrics to it and you might bring to the band?
Yeah, I'm not much of a lyricist, so I haven't written any songs per se. Yeah, most of the time, if I'm jotting down a tune, it's usually something for the pipes,
Yeah.
or the whistle. Mm-hmm. Do a little bit of whistle too.
Oh yeah, that's right. I've seen you playing whistle. The when did that come into your playing? By the way, was that after small pipes had come in? Because I feel like most pipers eventually do get to picking up a whistle, and if they haven't, they ought to. I feel like I feel
Right.
some like personal campaign thing here where like whistles are so cheap, and
Right.
and it's such like your existing skill set is so
Yep.
applicable. Get a whistle. It's so much fun to have
Absolutely.
more flexibility.
Right. I believe I heard that on a previous episode of yours, right?
Yeah, man, that's a drum that I've been banging now. That's a funny metaphor to
Yeah.
use, of course. I ought to say that's a whistle I've been tooting or something, but yeah.
Right. Right. Whistle. I don't know. I picked up a whistle years before I started pipes. But it was just one of these cheap gift shop whistles that sounded horrible, and I didn't really do anything with it. So I didn't really start doing anything on whistle until after I got small pipes, and I didn't really learn anything on whistle until I went to my first Pipers Gathering weekend that they have every year out in Connecticut. And I think it was John Skelton was there, my first Pipers Gathering, and he's an excellent musician. He plays pipes and whistles, but he's got several books out with his whistle tunes. And so I learned a little bit from him there, and just kept on going.
So, okay, I thought the name John Skelton sounded familiar, but I just looked it up to be like, well, have I heard his music before or something? The first thing that comes up is the English poet John Skelton. From the
interesting.
From
Okay.
the 15th century. So
Yeah, it's definitely not him.
Not saying I've read a lot of Skelton's poetry either, but
Yeah.
what was that gathering? I'm sorry, I might have the timeline mixed up. Was that wasn't the same gathering where you camped at Grandfather Mountain, was it?
No.
That was later.
Different experience, yeah.
Have you ever, as a guy who has experience with the recorder program, have you ever thought to yourself, we ought to do like Ireland does and have a whistle program instead?
Yeah.
Like it seems very cost effective. And, selfishly,
Yeah.
I think to myself, like, what if all of the children in the entire country got a start on penny whistle? What might that do for the
Yeah.
piping community? I think that might be great.
Oh my goodness. So I almost did that. I almost did. Because one of my buddies that I met at Piper's Gathering, his name is Chuck, he actually makes whistles out of PVC pipe.
Oh, yeah.
And so he makes those, and I bought one from him that he made. And when we were talking, he knew that I was a music teacher, and that first time that we were talking about it, he said, "You know what? How about I want to make you a set of whistles that you could use with your elementary students' classes." And it would be enough for it would be 30 whistles that then you can sterilize in between classes and the kids can use them. And I said, well, that would be awesome. That'd be cool. And so then the next summer, he handed me this bag.
A bag
And
of 30 whistles.
yeah,
That's awesome.
they're red and blue and white. Well, red, white, and blue.
Oh, yeah.
Plastic
Red,
whistles.
blue, and white. What are you, French?
Yeah.
I don't even remember. Is that the order on the French flag?
Now I'll
Trying
have
to.
to-
I remember Picard at one point saying something about the order of. He said something about like the American flag, but then he said something about like, or the much better, essentially what you're
Yeah.
saying. And then he said the order of the French flag.
I'm sure. Yeah.
I'm
Somebody's looking.
I could Google the French flag a lot faster than
I'm
I could figure
sure.
out which episode it was that Picard said that.
Oh, geez. Well, then, of course, then there's that tie-in where Picard is playing the whistle.
That's right. That's
Right?
right. When he has that whole life experience on that
And
other
then-
planet through the satellite
Yeah.
thing.
And then I didn't realize this until very, very recently, very stupidly, that's not his hands playing.
Wait, really?
That's
how
not
they
his
did it?
hands playing
They had
the whistle.
They had somebody else's hands, and he just blew
They
on
had
it
somebody
with his
else's
mouth.
hands. And it's so obvious when you go look at it now
Yeah, I didn't know that. I'm gonna have to
that
go
it's
back and
not
watch
his
again.
hands playing it.
Oh,
So,
funny.
yeah.
Blue, white, red. That's the French flag. I apologize
Blue,
if I got
white,
that wrong,
red.
my French friends.
Yes. Je me souviens. What were we talking about?
The whistles, yeah, bag of whistles. Give me a bag of whistles.
Oh, and so Chuck gave me this bag of whistles, and for free. He didn't want any money for it, and this is something that he does. He donates these whistles that he makes to schools. He's just a wonderful, wonderful guy, wonderful human being, and I've met a lot of really amazing people through the bagpipe world in general.
Yeah.
And not to give any shade to the Highland pipers, but the the people that I've met in the small pipes world
Yeah.
are just wonderful, wonderful. Like Tim Cummings.
Yep.
Like that sort of wonderful human being type of person. It's just
Maybe a gentle and sweet disposition goes along with
Yeah.
the gentle and sweet music, huh?
yeah, right, exactly.
But
Rather
those
than,
border pipers, they can be real harsh and grating.
Right. So I had this set of whistles, and I actually never used them in my elementary music classes because not long after that, it was when I was switching and doing more of the middle school, high school stuff.
Yeah.
But I have used them with some of my younger piping students here at home, so they are being put to good use.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah.
So what did happen on Grandfather Mountain? What music did you hear when you were out there?
Oh wow, okay. That's like that sounds like the beginning of a book there. What happened on Grandfather Mountain?
Right.
It was no kidding. It was almost a religious experience for me for part of that.
I believe it. Yeah.
It was not to be cheesy, but it was kind of an awakening musical experience for me. I mean, I actually when I left my last night at Grandfather Mountain, I was tearing up. I was kind of an emotional wreck.
Yeah.
Because I went down there by myself. Obviously, it was just me. But so at Grandfather Mountain is huge Highland Games gathering, and I think it's the largest gathering of clans, in if not in the country, at least on the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
The music that they had there. E.J. Jones is the music coordinator, organizer. And so he was also performing there. Mm. So that was my first time hearing E.J. Jones playing the pipes and probably singing.
I've got to imagine he knew the right people to gather for the other performances as well.
Yeah.
He knows exactly who to call, I would imagine.
Yeah. So he was performing there, and then I heard Elias Alexander with he was performing at the time with I can't remember his name, but on guitar. And at that time, I don't know if they were the Bywater Band. It was just the two of them. And he was playing the border pipes and singing. And I was mesmerized and fell in love with that sound. And hearing this music, you know, I went to every performance that I could. And sometimes there's more than one going on at the same time. But I really, really started to appreciate what this music is. You know, this Celtic music thing and this combination of song with pipes. It was eye-opening for me. And then that last night of being on Grandfather Mountain, the campground is right next to the games field. And so I had walked over from my tent over to where the field was, and that's where they had a stage for the night performances. And they kind of get all the musicians together, and they do kind of a big jam session kind of a thing. And I was just walking on this hill, this kind of overlooking the field. It's like a football field, and that's where the stage was. And I was just walking by on this really, you know, starlit, clear sky. You can see the stars on the summer night, and the music is down there in the field playing. And it was just overwhelming for me. It was like, wow, I'm going to remember this moment for the rest of my life. One of those moments.
Yeah.
It was just, yeah, it was kind of like the beginning of the moment of my falling in love with what this music is.
That was the first day of the rest of your life.
Yeah.
It's got all the right elements. This is maybe more on my brain than it ought to be, because I just finished listening to a course about like sort of origins of religious practice, like from the Paleolithic up through like pre-modern. Really, it was very much a focus on like pre-modern history and abstractions about the way people have done things in the past and stuff. But it just occurred. I can't help thinking like, no, it's got all the elements for a special religious experience where like common themes might have been, you know, a space, which would have been often top of a mountain or inside of a cave, you know, and then you've got that you went alone. It's almost like a pilgrimage. You were outside of your normal living space. You went to a different place to have this experience, and it was out in nature. That's a big part of it, you know, like, and you and music, even ritualistic music, you know, figures into it, and it's almost like you had the coming of age experience, or the you know the Gnostic welcoming into the gnosis kind of experience, kind of thing. And now I'm just thinking like, well, if we're the disciples of Tim, and if we're doing this thing, man, then Grandfather Mountain is our pilgrimage site. It's perfect, you know, it fits.
Oh, actually, the pilgrimage should be Cairdeas.
Oh yeah,
that would be
I've attended online one time. That was the silver lining to COVID, was that I got to do that.
Right. Oh, you should come out to Vermont sometime,
dude. Every year, I'm thinking next year will be my year. Next year will be my year. You know.
It's amazing. I love it.
So someday when I do manage to pull it off, I'll make sure to message you first to see if you're going to be there that year, and if you won't be, I'll wait till the next year.
I'm probably going every year for the rest of my life.
So it's probably a safe bet.
Yeah, in fact, I'm on the board now.
Oh, are you really? Well, then you better be there.
Right. Yeah.
Well, then I'll get a hold of you when I know which year I can get there, and I'll put in all of my requests for instructors.
Yeah,
got to make sure Tim's there, because you know if we've got to have the founding of the religion council to get it started. There with that stuff, so.
Oh no, he I'm sure he will not love it if he hears about that idea.
Last person in the world to allow for that to happen.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Well, what else? What tune do you think we should fade out on, and maybe tell me about a track we could hear?
Yeah. Okay. So, I was thinking about that. One of my favorite tunes is "Star of the County Down."
Oh yeah.
And so that is one of the tracks that we did on the Fire in the Glen album. And it is the tune itself is something that I've spoken about before on another podcast.
Wait, what other podcast?
I know.
I am offended, first of all, but also what other podcast? So I can put a link to it in the show notes.
there can't be that many bagpiping podcasts,
Yeah,
right?
What?
So Mark Gunn does the Irish and Celtic music podcast.
Oh yes, of course.
Right?
Yeah.
He also does several other side quest podcasts. So
Yeah.
he has this Pub Songs and Stories podcast.
Yeah.
And so I did a thing for that a couple of years ago where I was talking about Star of the County Down and how I've done that as a song with Fire in the Glen, but also it is a song of personal importance to me because it's also a song that I've used. I did an arrangement of it for my parents' anniversary. Their I believe it was for their 50th anniversary. Let me do the math. No, maybe it was their 40th. Maybe it was their 40th anniversary. Anyway,
Once you get past 25, it's like, well, it's one of those.
Right. So, because when I wanted to make an arrangement of a tune, I asked my dad, who was a pastor, what's one of your favorite hymns? Mm-hmm. And for him, that's kind of like asking somebody who loves books, what's one of your favorite books?
Sure,
or
yeah.
a musician, what's your favorite song? Well.
Right.
There is no answer, really, right? So, he loved hymns, of course, and so the one that he named was, I think he was kind of thinking more obscure, a little lesser known. And there's this hymn called "I Feel the Winds," or is it wind, singular or plural, of God today.
Is that to the melody of? Is the same melody?
Yes.
Oh, really? So I knew it.
Yes.
I knew that it had been used for a Christmas carol before.
Yes.
And I also know that it's used for a hymn in the Mormon tradition that has some of the wildest sci-fi lyrics you will ever read in a hymnal.
Oh.
Yeah, like very
I'm
very
curious
out
about
there,
that.
man. Very out there.
Okay.
Great, crazy cool, like cool in a fascinating, weird kind of way. But no, tell me about this. I had no idea. See, and I thought that I was the expert when it came to hymns using this melody. I had no idea. So what did your dad? What's this one your dad was picking?
So you probably know that the tune name is Kingsfold,
Right. Yeah.
So that's the hymn tune name for it, which comes from this English / Irish folk music tradition. Mm-hmm. So the hymn, I feel the winds of God today. I feel the winds of God today, today my sail I lift. And then I'd have to look at it to remember the rest of the words. Mm-hmm. So it's this song, it's kind of nautical themed about God being the wind in your sails, carrying you along.
Gotcha.
And then it has this neat stormy blast metaphors and all that. The lyrics are very meaningful, but then the tune is this great minor tune, but then it has this moment of major tonality.
Yeah.
And so it's got that going for it because it's this balance between minor and major. That can go into all kinds of theological kind of philosophical discussions there. But then it's also used for other hymns like I sing a song of Bethlehem.
I think that's the Christmas one.
related.
Yeah, that's right.
But then it leads you that hymn leads you through Christ's life going through the resurrection.
Oh, that's
too.
right. It goes all the way through the whole story, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's really neat too. So that was the tune that I was familiar with growing up, hearing this tune once in a while as a hymn, and then I used it as an arrangement for piano and a duet. My wife and I sang it as a duet, and then I wrote in this part for a sopranino recorder to sound like an Irish whistle because I was not a whistle player at the time.
Yeah, gotcha.
But the tune, then this was another one of those aha moments when I researched the tune and found out it's Kingsfold. Okay, that's the hymn tune. Vaughan Williams used it. Vaughan Williams used it for a piece that he wrote, a symphony, but the Dives and Lazarus is the name of the tune title for that. Dives and Lazarus. Looks like dives.
I'm going to look that up. This has been one of my favorite melodies since I was a kid, so I'd love to consume anything you can suggest for sure.
You've got to hear this. Rafe, looks like Ralph, Vaughan Williams, symphony, Dives and Lazarus. It's a theme and variations.
Oh, I see. Oh, yes, I see 5 variants here. Okay.
It's amazing. So then I've heard that, but then when I found out that it's also the same tune to Star the County Down, that I instantly, this has got to be an important connection because my family, the Nevin family, immigrated to America in the early 1800s. It was before the potato famine, but they were from Donaghadee, County Down.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so then I've got this County Down tie-in with this tune that's also used for the Star of the County Down.
Man, that's so cool. That's like speaking of getting hippy dippy and ethereal. There's some unknown thing in your dad's heart that, like, for some reason, this melody that came from his ancestors' home resonated with him, kind of thing. Yeah, that's super cool, man.
Absolutely. Yeah, so it's one of my favorite tunes to sing and to play.
Well, I know that there's more we could talk about, for sure. I also have taken like 2 hours of your time this morning. Right. Maybe we talk again, but this feels like the most beautiful way to kind of come to a graceful close. Unless there's anything else that you'd like to bring up.
Wow. Well, we only got through 2 or 3 of the things I wanted to talk about. So.
Near Banbridge town in the county down one evening last July, down a barring green came a sweet Colleen, and she smiled as she passed me by. She looked so sweet from her 2 bare feet to the sheen of her nut brown hair. Such a coaxing elf, sure I shook myself to make sure I was standing there. From Bantry Bay down to Derry Quay, and from Galway to Dublin town, no maid I've seen like the fair Colleen that I met in the county down. As she onward sped, sure I shook my head, and I gazed with a feeling rare. And I said, says I, to passer-by, who's the maid with the nut-brown hair? He smiled at me, he said, says he, she's a gem of Ireland's crown. Young Rosie McGann from the banks of the Bann, she's the star of the county down. From Bantry Bay down to Derry Quay, and from Galway to Dublin town, no maid I've seen like the fair Colleen that I met in the county down. She'd a soft brown eye and a look so sly, and a smile like the rose in June, and you held each note from her auburn throat as she lilted lamenting tunes. At the pattern dance you'd be in a trance as she skipped through a jig or reel. When her eyes she'd roll, she'd lift your soul, and your heart she'd likely steal. From Bantry Bay down to Derry Quay, and from Galway to Dublin town, no maid I've seen like the fair Colleen that I met in the county down. At the harvest fair she'll be surely there, and I'll dress in my Sunday clothes. With my hat cocked right, my shoes shine bright, for a smile from the nut-brown rose. No horse I'll yoke, nor pipe I'll smoke, till the rust in my plough turn brown. And a smiling bride by my own fireside is the star of the county down. From Bantry Bay down to Derry Quay, and from Galway to Dublin town, no maid I've seen like the fair Colleen that I met in the county down. From Bantry Bay down to Derry Quay, and from Galway to Dublin town, no maid I've seen like the fair Colleen that I met in the county down, that I met in the county down.